Wow, welcome, Veronica. So glad to have you. How are you?
I'm young, I'm black, and I'm blessed.
Wow, that's good. You're very you have a very good way with words. So you asked me what like the theme of this podcast is, which is a very good question. I think that on its face, the theme is that there's certain industries that are more opaque than others. So like if somebody wants to become a firefighter, a police officer, or a doctor or a nurse, there are very clear paths to that. Whereas like for more non-traditional things like entertainment, like entrepreneurship, there are less traditional paths. But also it's really just more an excuse for me to talk to my most interesting friends, and you're definitely up there among them. So I guess like so you've been
Strange
on.
word.
Interesting is good. Interesting is good. It's like maybe we live in interesting times. Um, And so you grew up in Oklahoma, I think, right?
On a farm, on a dirt
On a
road in a
farm.
trailer.
Yeah, okay, exactly. So tell us how you came from Oklahoma on a farm to like Beverly Hills, the Second Wives Club, a show on E. You were also on Iyanla Fix My Life once, I think. Like where like don't make that face. It couldn't have been that. I mean, there's no shame in it. We all could have
No, no,
some
no, no.
kissing.
There's no shame in wanting help with anything. She's just a problematic individual. But
Okay,
yeah.
okay. We can get
But
into
yeah,
that.
it's been a journey, yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. So where's the journey? Where's that journey start?
Um, well, one, thanks for having me. Two, you're also one of my more interesting friends. Don't blush, don't blush.
It's hard not to.
Um, but yeah, how did I get off a dirt road in Oklahoma in a one stoplight town to Beverly Hills? It all started basically with college, like your typical plan. Just my mom worked in a factory, my dad was a construction worker. I have five brothers and sisters, and the plan was just go to college so that you don't have to be like a menial laborer, to scrape by. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that was, after watching my parents work so hard and die so young, it's, the only
Wow.
plan there was is go to college. That's the option. So I went to college.
And you,
I had a
what
kid
time?
when
We're in Oklahoma. We're in Oklahoma, Oklahoma City or Tulsa or where? I
no,
guess
no,
it
Oklahoma
was a
City would
small
be
state.
would be
Yeah.
so glamorous compared to where I'm from. No, I'm from a tiny town. It's and eastern, what is that? Eastern Oklahoma, right
Okay.
before you enter into Arkansas. So I lived in what's called like a border town, like 5 minutes away from Arkansas, a town that's closed by 6 p.m. One gas station, one school, one stoplight.
Very black
Everybody
or
knows
very white?
everybody. Very, very white. And all of the black people that actually lived um, in my tiny little town, we all lived in the same neighborhood. So I wouldn't call it traditionally segregated. It was more of an organic, historical, situation that just had never changed, but you don't notice it when you're living in it. So all the black people lived in like this tiny little area called Fort Coffee, and all the white people
That's very on the
lived.
nose. Fort
It's
Coffee.
very on the nose, yeah, for sure, pun intended. And all the white people lived in town in Spiro.
Okay. So you, I mean,
But yes, I just went to college. I packed up after graduation and I went to college.
you ran track, right?
Yeah, so just growing up, and I don't say this as a dig at my parents, who I respect so much and adore so much, but when you grew up just dirt poor with very, very few options, sports is this amazing bridge to accessibility for a future. So being an athlete was the only way that I could attend college. Run fast, jump high, and because otherwise my parents could have never ever sent me to college.
Hmm. Okay. How was you went to Oklahoma State
Don't do
or
that.
no OS? Okay, not OSU. We
No,
went.
that's OSU. No, I'm a
Yeah.
Sooner.
Yeah. OU.
Yeah,
OU. Yeah.
yeah, I went to OU.
That's what I
I
meant.
ran
That's what I
track.
meant. What'd you run?
Yeah,
The 400?
I was heptathlete.
Wait, which one is those? I'm not.
Heptathlete is everything.
Wait, so you ran sprints and you ran.
You do the sprints, you do the distance, you throw the javelin. But my specialty was the jump. So high jump, long jump, you hurdle, you sprint, and you do the 800 to wrap up a 2-day competition. So it's very Jackie Joyner-Kersee is the greatest heptathlete of all time. And I just definitely wanted to be her when I was a kid.
Yeah, I ran track a little in high school, and I remember there was a meet where I threw like shot put and I ran the 400, and like I ran the 400 first, and I was through shot put, and like I just couldn't, like I was dead from.
It's about endurance, but you know what? That's exactly what it takes to get off a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. It takes endurance. So I think it was a great precursor for my life.
That's fair. Did you always have a dream? I mean, because I feel like you you like nice things, and I think that
don't we all?
Some more than others. But I think that like you like was it a part of, because I think sometimes when people grow up with less, it makes you really, really want more, right? Like it makes you really like, did you always dream of like Beverly Hills, New York City, the lights and all that?
I don't give a fuck about none of that. No, that's the thing. You think that like, materialism has levels. Okay. So where I'm from, even the bougiest person like wants a sick ass ES Lexus and a brand new canvas Coach bag and a Galaxy that's 2 generations old and the nicest double wide trailer.
Right.
So everything has a perspective to it. So it's I didn't know what Hermes was. I didn't know what a fucking Mercedes was. I grew up where the Dodge pickups and cows. So wanting really nice things, like I wanted to go to Red Lobster and I wanted to, and I wanted like name brand sneakers. And as you grow and as you live, your taste evolve as you grow. And no, Beverly Hills wasn't the target. It's the evolution of self, and it's certainly not where I want to end up. It's just a part of my journey.
Right. It just kind of happened. Okay. So what'd you study?
I studied journalism.
Oh, wow. Journalists. I have views on journalists, but I think at that time it would make more sense. I think nowadays journalists can be a little bit adversarial. I mean, and not in like a good way, because you should be a little bit adversarial. But okay, so you studied journalism, and where'd you go after? Like, what was your first job, or where'd you live first?
So my parents died when I was in college, both of them.
Oh, sorry.
And when you're just like really young and you think your whole life's ahead of you and you're just like so stoked, you like getting into college is like almost better than graduating from college. Like you just got in. So for me, like with my parents dying in the middle of college, and you just kind of get set out to sea and you're lost. So I had always wanted to model. My mom always said like, oh, you had a baby when you're 16 with your little hot ass. You need to get a degree and be realistic.
Oh yeah, rewind. Because I feel like one thing. I mean, you're like a mother of. I feel like I always add or subtract one.
Everybody does 5.
5. Okay, I feel like sometimes I think I say 6, but okay, 5. So
yeah,
what was that
5.
like being 16 and like this is before MTV had the Teen Mom show, so there wasn't.
Even I would have made a lot of money.
Yeah, you'd been you've probably been a great cast member.
Yeah, I was lit before any of the social media for sure. Like.
Well, so what was that like? Were you like, because I feel like a lot of people in that position would, might not go through with it, right? But like you were 16. Were you like religious, or were you just like always wanted to be a mother?
Super religious.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents raised us super religious. My mom in particular, we went to service like 3-4 times a week. Like,
I hope it wasn't one of those long ones, one of those like 2.5 hour ones.
Sunday, 2.5 hours, Thursday night, Tuesday night, Bible study.
That's one thing about, I've at times I've gone to Catholic church, like with my family sometimes in Houston growing up. And it's like a tight hour, maybe like an hour and 15. Like it's.
Yeah, Tuesdays was a good hour, but Tuesdays was the easy, service.
Oh man, I can't imagine. So you had was it like a Baptist thing? Like what was the?
No, I grew up Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, so do you still have? Okay, I hear that there are people who still have like only vestiges of like certain, like for example, I heard that 'cause I know Jehovah's Witness, like you don't really celebrate birthdays and Christmas, I believe, right? And I think I remember someone saying that like for example, like the Wayans brothers, I believe, grew up Jehovah's
They were
Witness.
raised Jehovah's Witnesses, yeah.
Right. And I said someone told me that if you watch, so a lot of TV shows, they'll have a Halloween episode and like a Christmas episode. And
Oh, we could watch that.
Well,
we couldn't watch that. We couldn't watch the Smurfs. We couldn't watch if it was a holiday episode of something, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween. If it had ghosts in it, like
Harry
we
Potter?
were not allowed to watch that. Like
What
to
about
this
Harry
day,
Potter?
my kids have never seen Harry Potter because I'm like, I'm not vibing with magic and demons. We don't play like that.
Yeah, someone said that like someone in the industry was like that if you watch TV shows that the Wayans brothers are in, like New Girl and stuff like that, if you watch the Halloween and the Christmas episodes, you'll see that whatever the character the Wayans brothers is not, will in that episode not be doing the Christmassy stuff or the Halloweeny stuff because they still have that sort of, even if I don't know if they still practice, but they still, it's almost like not PTSD, but like because you grew up not doing that, it becomes
it's not post traumatic. It's not traumatic. Yeah. It's post childhood moral like compass. So for me, that just happens to be my moral compass. What guides me, what I believe in, and to each his own. And so yeah, I'm still not big on the holidays and birthdays. I never celebrated a birthday until I was like 30.
Right. And so
I wasn't going to turn down like a bust down rollie. So I started celebrating.
Of course. So yeah, what was that? I mean, so you have a child, I think a daughter, right? At 16. And she's dope. And but then also your parents passed away when you're in college. So you're like, I mean, I guess are you the oldest or the youngest as far as your siblings? Or in the middle?
I'm the oldest girl in my family. So you're just kind of cast out into the world. You really are just on your own and you just got to keep going. You can't pause. Nobody feels sorry for you for more than like a week. I know that sounds so hard, but it's true. Your professors really after 1 week don't care. Oh, that's the girl whose mom died. Okay. Why is her final paper not turned in? Oh, she's the one with the baby too. Well, I'm not sure if she belongs here if she can't keep up. So you really had, you have to make your mind over. You can't feel sorry for yourself because nobody is ever going to give you more than a few moments of leeway. So I finished college, took my baby with me. And when college was over, I was like, we don't live forever. And I packed up and instead of going into journalism, I went to model.
Right. I mean, okay. So before we get into the modeling, because I feel like what's that like? Like, because if both of your parents, obviously tragically passed away, and when you were in college, that means you were I presume, I don't know if the guy was in the picture, but you were a single mom with like a 4 or 5 year old on, like, without parents to support you. Like, how did you navigate that and not end up in a very like dark place? Or did you end up in a dark place but pull yourself out?
No, it's a hustle mentality. And, we all go through dark periods, but we don't, as a family, I'm speaking of my family, like you can't sit in that because life will pass you by. My mom died at 42. You can't waste 2-3 years. And I know mental health is a serious issue, but for me, not speaking for all people, but for me, I just really had to take a long pause, cry, and then get back up and get back to it because there was nobody to say, hey kid, how you doing? Or, hey, can I help you with, my daughter had to go to school, my, classes had to be complete. My brothers and sisters were younger than me. My brother was in high school with no mom. And then we like blinked our eyes and our dad died a few months later. So it was like, okay, now there's literally nobody but us. And I had a kid. And so it's just like, how do we finish college together? We all went to college together.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. So you were like almost like the matriarch at that point. Because I guess you were the oldest. You weren't the oldest overall, but you were the oldest daughter. So
well, that's what a matriarch is. It's the oldest female.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's incredible. So that must have been a lot of pressure. How do you deal with that?
No.
Really?
It wasn't a lot of pressure. See, that's the beautiful thing about being young. You're too dumb to understand the weight sometimes it's on your shoulders. Like, oh, you've got a kid, you're in college, your parents are dead, you've got 5 brothers and sisters depending on you mentally, emotionally, financially. You're too young and stupid to feel. I think, that's why ignorance is, they say it's bliss, because I don't know if I could get through that right now, 15 years later.
Wow.
But then just this unbridled hopefulness and thinking it's all going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You just got to get to tomorrow, and you put all the tomorrows together.
Wow, that's good. Is it so? Were you like a manifester type of, like? Were you big into like manifesting, or just no? You just like
No.
okay.
Like my dad used to say, you run by the seat of your pants. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you wake up today, like, what are we going to be today? What are we going to do today? And so it wasn't about manifesting this specific life and goal. It was about, let's make these people that created us happy. What can I do to make my mother happy if she can feel me or see me from wherever she is? That's it. No manifestation. It was all pure love and light.
Wow. Okay, so then you moved to, I think, Miami, right? Or did you go somewhere else to model first?
No, so I came to Los Angeles. I got with an agency, and it was actually season in Miami. So Miami has a season, where everything is shooting there, like all the big campaigns.
When is that? Is that like around swim week and stuff, or like?
Yeah, well, it's around that time. Season wraps up around swim week, but Miami has the beaches. Like, you can't shoot on an LA beach. You know what I mean?
I don't know that.
The water's gray and blue and gross. But Miami can look like anywhere in the world. It can look like Thailand. It can look like, Miami. It can look like, whatever. So Miami has this big season. I didn't know that. So I moved to LA, and they were like, oh, you're perfect, but we're sending you to Miami for season. And they're like, you're going to be there like 4 or 5 months. So I had only been in LA like 2 weeks, and I packed up and moved to a model house. But because I had a kid, I was like, this is wild. I can't live in a model house. So I got my own place, and I ended up staying in Miami actually for 5 years because like I just did really, really well in Miami. So I would travel from Miami back to like New York or to LA for jobs.
Okay, for people who
But my base
don't know,
was Miami.
for people who don't know, what's like, because I've always heard, but like, what's like a model house like? Is it because it's basically like almost like a dorm type of situation, right? Like basically a bunch of models just living in a house.
It's nothing glamorous about it. There is absolutely nothing glamorous about Svedka, who is an 18-year-old Russian girl that doesn't speak English, doesn't have great hygiene, and does lots of drugs, and comes in and out at all hours of the morning with whoever, and you're worried about her, but at the same time you can't even communicate with her, like, and you're just kind of packed in there. But when you're young, you're like, oh, until I like make a name for myself, this is how it should be. So a model house was like, the college dorms were better, cleaner, more hygienic experience for me than
right
a model
house.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you left how long did you stay there? I mean, I can't imagine having a child in that type of setting for sure.
No, I was in the model house like less than a week. I was like, as long as it literally took to find a place and move out, like I bought all my furniture on Craigslist. I found an apartment and I bought furniture off Craigslist. I sold my car and bought furniture, bought everything that I needed, and I could walk to like everything I needed to do in my casting. So it'd be 95 degrees and 100% humidity in Miami, and I would be like power walking to like my casting.
Oh my god, I can't imagine that. I was in Miami a few years ago. I was in Miami recently too, but I was in Miami a few years ago, and I walked somewhere, and it felt like I had gone for a swim. Like I walked not even that far. I walked to like get some food, and I was like, it looks like I literally just got out of a pool.
Yeah, but you know what? The great thing about being like 22, 23 in Miami as a model, you can wear a bikini top and cut off shorts and flip flops holding your high heels, and that's the perfect look for a casting, and you don't soak your clothes. So that was my whole look and my vibe for years, just working and modeling and building up my credits and getting that all powerful SAG card when you're coming out of nowhere. So that's what I did.
What credits? I mean, I know you were in Sports Illustrated. Where else? I feel like you've been in a lot of different things. What were some of those
Well,
credits?
I've done like major magazines because you're always trying to get tear sheets. I've worked for Dime von Furstenberg and other major designers, done runway, New York Fashion Week, etc. Like you just bounce around and it sounds so glamorous, but you're literally like one of 400 girls backstage waiting for your show. And so it's like, yeah, that's so sexy. But in reality, you're making $582 after your agency takes their fee. And you have to work, you have to walk in 29 shows
Oh wow.
in 4 days to make enough money to pay your bills.
Well, what was dating like in that time? Oh, I mean,
I
also
didn't
first
really
of all,
date.
really okay. And
No,
so,
I broke up with my baby daddy, and we were together all of college. And I had just broken up with him, but we remained like super good friends. And I really just I didn't date. I was literally just focused on modeling, my kids. I also had like a part-time job, and
well, were you like a nanny or something? Like, what was the?
I worked for the NFL.
Oh,
And
right. What'd you do for that? Well, I have like nanny in my head because I feel like I met somebody recently who's a nanny. But what was your what did you do for the NFL?
I worked for the NFLPA, Players
Okay,
Association.
how'd you balance that? Because I feel like with modeling, like in LA, for
It's
example.
not that hard. NFL athletes weren't exactly challenging clients to like I'm not taking a dig at anybody, but it wasn't like cerebrally like challenging. It's like check here, sign here. No, it's really important you show up to your conference so we can talk about finances. And they're like, yeah, for sure, shorty. And you don't see him for 6 months. So
But I feel like creative people in like modeling and acting and stuff always tend to have really flexible jobs, like like being a
yeah.
waitress or a waiter. And I feel like that's like not like 9 to 5s where it's like you have to be there certain hours. I don't mean challenging cerebrally. I just mean challenging like.
No, I don't think I've ever had a job where I've been locked or chained to a 9 to 5. I think my first job out of college, I worked for a bank. I think I did that 6 months. I was amazing. I won all these random nobody gives a shit awards for like the region, and they're like, one day you're gonna be bank manager and regional manager. I'm like, mm-hmm. And I called him with a stomach ache and never went back. And then my old boss called me. He's like, Veronica. I was like, yeah. He's like, are you on MTV? I was like, and I like hung up the phone and blocked his number.
Wait, what were you on? Wait, okay, what were you on MTV for a modeling thing?
No, it was just like modeling gigs, like over time, like,
Right.
so you just go to castings and you just do so many jobs. So I've worked for like so many networks, but it wasn't for anything specific. It's like it was, a seasonal job for
Right. Okay.
whatever.
That makes sense. So you were in. So then you're in Miami for 5 years, and
Mhm.
then is that when you moved to LA?
So I went to Art Basel, which just wrapped up actually. And
It's my first
I
one
ran
this
into
year.
it. Oh yeah, it's a pretty sick situation. It's lots of partying, lots of hanging out. And I ran into the guy that I ended up marrying. So yeah, I
And then
got married.
you guys moved to LA together.
Well, he is a plastic surgeon. And I was just like, no plastic surgeon is a plastic surgeon if he's not in Beverly Hills. And I had left LA all those years before. So I was like, why don't we move to LA? And he was like, let's do it. So we
Wow.
moved to LA, and yeah, that's how I ended up here for it's been 10 years now.
Oh wow! I don't know how long it's been. I mean, so you have I feel like you have an interesting. I feel like you shifted my perspective a little bit on dating. So I remember you said something you said once that you were like, because I feel like I don't know. Sometimes dating can feel a little bit transactional, or not always, but like I don't know. You
I
said
hope
that,
it is. I hope it's transactional the older I get.
well, yeah, exactly. I think that yeah, there's something you said once where you're like men ask for sex off the bat, so like what's wrong with someone asking for money off the bat? And that really made me or anything, right? I mean, and that made me, I don't know, I think that there's a certain thing, especially now with like the rise of the city girls and all that stuff. And I mean, we had this conversation before that, but now with like especially like 2018, like that whole era, which I really think the city girls kind of gave birth to Kevin Samuels in a way, because I feel like
I don't think
they,
so.
I think so, and to the extent
I
that
agree to disagree.
I think so, to the extent that they had this ethos of like, you got to swipe the Visa, you got to buy the Birkin. And I think that attitude kind of became popular. And then Kevin Samuels kind of shut up and was like, hey, that's for certain people. That's for people who look a certain way and are a
No, but
certain
that's
way.
you're not a woman, because that attitude has been pervasive around and prevalent and palpable my whole life. So what are you talking about? Like,
I mean,
city girls did not create this swipe a visa. Like, bitches were getting houses, last names, rings, rocks, and vacations. Like, literally before there was an Instagram. And Kevin Samuel, or whatever the fuck his name was, R.I.P. Homeboy. Like, no, bitterness and jadedness because the culture is like rising to the top like cream, but the culture was always there. It was always
yeah,
there. Like, what do you
I
think
mean,
Miami was about in the mid 2000s? Like, bitches were getting money. Bitches had Bentleys before there was like TikTok. Like, girls were video like vixens. Iced out before wearing ice everywhere was a thing. Like, this has always been a thing, but you're just finding out about it.
wow. Okay. I mean, that's fair. I think you're right. Like, obviously, if you look through history, marriage and just relationships have always been tied to, like, if you go far back enough, it's literally like, oh, especially when women like couldn't work, it was literally like, marriage is a contract, right? There's a financial aspects to a lot of these things. But I just think that city girls started saying it very, like, just out loud. Like, I feel like they really sort of, I guess
Beyonce
it
said
wasn't.
bills, bills, bills when you were in middle school. You just didn't hear her. You didn't understand yet, honey. You weren't ready to receive the message. But she was preaching long before you stood and heard somebody else's testimony that touched your heart. City girls might have touched your heart with their testimony, but I can promise you, young man,
Okay, well, I
these
mean,
have
I'm
been
not.
the rules
Well,
of engagement for quite
okay,
some
well,
time.
do you think that broke niggas deserve pussy? That's
No.
this the bit. No, not even a little bit. None.
How you gonna give a little bit of pussy?
just like a crumb.
Or just a patch of pussy?
Yeah, just like a smidge, like a smidge. I mean, I don't know. I just think that's a.
Nah, you don't. Nobody goes to eat and takes one bite of their food and it's just like enough here and no further.
I don't know. I think that
No,
there's like I love this. I love city girls, but I do think it's like a little bit of a toxic. Or I don't want to use the word toxic, but like a negative.
you're making my double chin pop out because I'm looking at you so crazy. I'm like,
I just think that there's. I don't know. I think that like I love the music, but I do think a little bit the further you get into sort of and like, to be fair, I think it's a small, like, if I step back, really the girls who are really getting all these, getting flued out and getting these things, like, first of all, there aren't that many men, especially black men, who are even capable, right? It's like the same 300 black men and it's like the same 400 women. It's why it's kind of, everyone kind of is in the same, like, you'll see
dating cesspool. Yeah.
yeah, the dating pool. So like, I think that sometimes it gets, if you listen to too much music, if you're on Instagram too much, it seems like, oh, you have to be buying Chanel bags, you have to be, this is like because Drake and Future are. And it's like, no, like, most girls are cool if you're
I
just
don't
nice to them.
necessarily agree with that. And when I say, like, when you're like, oh, do broke guys deserve like a side of vagina? And I say no, but I'm not sitting here saying you have to be Drake or you have to be an entertainer or an athlete, because I personally think those are very poor dating choices if you're dating with like intention and you want to be realistic about whatever your future may be, because you may not be dating with the intention to marry. You may have other goals for yourself. Marriage and parenthood are not necessarily the goals for young women anymore. But what I am saying is a man that has ambition, like, come on, stop playing with me. You know, you went to Harvard.
Yeah, I mean,
You went to
of course,
Harvard, yes or no?
I did.
Right.
I think
Exactly.
that
No, but you drive a G-Wagon, right?
I saw that during the pandemic. Yeah,
Okay, you
I
sold
did
it.
for a
But my
while.
point is, you are not a quote unquote, like, you know, typical entertainer. Like, you're in the industry. You've written for some amazing shows. You've had amazing successes. You are working on your podcast and other independent projects that I really, really respect. At the end of the day, don't string my statements out and think they mean something else. What I'm saying is, some nigga not doing anything. When I say nigga, that means every man. I
Right.
think of all men as just niggas, like white, black, Asian, Indian. Um, if you're not ambitious if you're not working hard towards a goal. No, you can't get anything from me. Now, I could give a fuck less about Drake. We actually ran into each other at Drake's birthday party one year. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. Well, you had a podcast with,
and I like bounced. I was like, no, this is gross.
Well, you had a podcast with Melissa, I believe, right? Rihanna's.
Yeah, Melissa Ford and Laura Gavon.
Yeah. I mean, you all were early on the podcast train, really. I feel like nowadays, seeing people get these crazy podcast bags, I'm like, y'all were running it up on the podcast downloads in like 2016. Or around that time. I mean, yeah,
it was like 2017, 2018. Yeah, it was a nice run.
Yeah, I think that like what was intriguing, and one of the reasons I want to even have you on here is that like I think that there's always been like up until I really met you, I think that I'd always seen like a level of shame around like, oh, like let me get some, like if someone's coming to a prospective partner asking for, or just talking about, hey, like give me some some money or something, and I feel like you're like, well, money. Yeah, and I feel like there's always I feel like there'd been like, there are people who are ashamed of that, and I think you kind of flipped it on its head. It's like, like guys will ask for the first night, like I'm trying to go raw inside you, so why can't I ask them for
right? But like I don't understand, like that's what's wild to me as a woman. You don't want to feed me, that's why we should split it. Or
well,
if we go to
eat, most guys aren't split it. I don't know. You have more experience.
No, they're getting really wild out here.
Okay. I mean, that's a
want to go Dutch, honey. Nobody is from Holland. We are not going Dutch. I don't care who asked. I don't care who said what. Men are out here trying to go half. Men are out here asking for coochie the first night. And if you literally the very next day say, oh my God, my car won't start, can you call me an Uber? He's like, hey, I mean, why I should help you with it? That's ridiculous to me.
Well, I think that
because I will right off the bat, like if you want something from me and we're vibing, why do men not have to reciprocate anything but dick? Dick is free. You do know that, right? Dick is everywhere. You can find dick easier than you can find trash on the side of the 405.
It's definitely ubiquitous.
It's everywhere.
It's definitely ubiquitous. I don't know. I think that's like, how did you develop that perspective? I feel like a lot of people.
Life.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you were kind of early on that. Like, because I feel like, again, maybe I'm giving the City Girls way too much credit, but I feel like they kind of ushered in an era more so of like, like, yeah, like you gotta swipe the visa, you gotta come on the first date, come with the like all this stuff. And I feel like even before then, because I think I met you around the same time, and you were like, yeah, like buy me, like not me, but like just in general, that a man should give you, like if a man is entertaining you, they should give you jewelry. And I'll never forget, you picked me up. Oh my goodness, this is a hilarious story. We went out and my G-Wagon was like in the shop for some reason, and so they gave me like Benz. They give you Benz, they give you like a loaner car, but it wasn't a G-Wagon. And so like we went out, we had met, and like you would drive me. We went to eat somewhere, and you dropped me off on my car, and we went out again to, I think, Chateau Marmont the next day or a following day. And I remember I had my car back, and I was like, I'll pick you up, because I want to pull up in the G-Wagon, because I'm used to women who are my age or a little bit younger, and especially that time if I'm 26, 27, I'm just used to people around that, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And I remember being like, I'll pick you up, because I want to pull up in the G-Wagon and kind of get the whatever. And you like, I'll pick you up. And I was like, well, who are you telling me they're gonna pick me up? So I was like, no, I'll pick you. You're like, no, I'll pick you up. And you picked me up in a Rolls Royce, in like a maroon Rolls Royce. And I was like, I was out there. I was like, I don't think I'd ever been in a Rolls Royce. I was just looking around, touching everything. I was like those memes when that meme that's like when you take the side chick out for the first time, and she's just hanging out the window, like just so happy to be there. But I remember being like, wow, this is just. I was like, who is this woman? And then so I think all those things just made me be like, oh, you're like just a different type of person. And obviously, I think I hadn't seen
that comes from life. And I appreciate the City Girls. Shout out to both of them, because they must have some really dope ass women in their life, because when they really came on the scene, they were young, talking about stuff that typically takes women a few years of education, and it's a hard knock school of letdowns and ups and downs and disappointments and exhaustion and stress, and like some dude like wasting your time for you really to come to the conclusions about how this world works, how patriarchy works. So no, you cannot waste my time. I love that you have a G-Wagon. I love that for you. I really do love that for you. However, no, the point is, no, you really got to get out here and get it. I came from nothing. I used to have chickens in my front yard. Get up, do what you have to do to succeed in this world. And nobody's dusty ass son is going to impress me trying to fly me to Houston. Nobody. Like,
well, okay, I think that I like understand and I agree. As I get older and I deal with women who are a little bit older, I feel like women a lot of women I met get to a certain age and it's like they're exhausted, right? They're just tired of dating niggas. Like they're tired. They're like, I don't want to tell anybody else my favorite color. I'm like, I don't want to tell anybody else like what I do for, because you everyone, the whole meet cute, right? Like you meet, you have a great time, you bond over some sort of fun activity. You start telling, you learn their favorite color, their childhood, this and that. And I remember I feel like as I get to a certain age like that, kind of like really 30, really, 30, early 30s, like you meet women who are just kind of like exhausted. They kind of like, I hate niggas. Like they've had their heartbreak. They're like, I'm tired. I don't want to do another sort of, I want to get married and have kids basically. But I think I understand the city girl's perspective and your perspective, because guys are very bold in asking for, a lot physically up front. But I do wonder, I feel like there's a level of, like, especially black men, like divorcing love from success, where it's like you feel unworthy of love if you're not at a certain place.
No, one of my fundamental problems with black men so often, unfortunately, and this again is a generalization, so forgive me up front,
right,
is that we can't detach so often, or black men can't detach that a woman shouldn't have to suffer first to prove she loves you. So many women that date men with certain means, and it could just be the local doctor in town who makes $350 and you have a nice home, or an athlete or an entertainer or whomever he may be. The point is, I shouldn't have to suffer through 10 years of your bullshit and have 2 of your kids for you to go, oh, she's a writer, I'm going to marry her now. I'm not a consolation prize when you have fucked everything that moves and realized that I loved you from jump. And I saw ambition in you and I loved you from there. So when I say pussy's not free, what I mean is it has to be attached to ambition. It has to be attached to goals. But I'm not going to allow any man, white, black, or otherwise, to tell me and to treat me as if first I must suffer and I must somehow prove that I love him enough to deal with all his bullshit, that when he's tired, I'm the one. Fuck you and your mother.
Well, okay, what do you
saying?
What do you? I know you don't. You're not. I know you don't say. What do you? I mean, what's your perspective on helping someone kind of build from the bottom, or meet? Because I feel like a lot of men have this tension where it's like you want to get to a certain destination, career wise, life wise, success wise, and then kind of build with somebody versus. So I feel like you, in your situation, you kind of met somebody when they were on the come up, and like you all kind of rose up together.
Yeah, but that's the beautiful thing about it. But see, life is so unpredictable. I think it's Confucius said the only thing that we can count on is change. So yeah, I met a man, married a man, and he was on the come up, and we worked together, and we built something together, and we got very wealthy together. It was a joint partnership. But once we got to the top, instead of going, wow, look what we created, and you were with me from like before the his and hers Rolls Royces and, Bel Air and this and that, like, no, before it didn't matter because he lost his head. He didn't have his shit on a swivel. So like, that's the unpredictability of life. So you could build with a nigga from nothing and still end up with nothing. You can jump on when a nigga is doing great and he's loyal, he's faithful, and at least he has like decency and respect. So really, I mean, it in actuality, nobody wants to hear this, but it really comes down to character. Cuban links and cars don't mean shit. What is that man's character? Don't let him waste your time. And don't build with the man that ain't shit. You see the red flags. Women know the red flags. So do men. So it kind of just goes both ways.
What are the red, like, what are some character red flags where you were like, okay, I wouldn't do like this. This is a red flag.
I mean, I would say, like, for me, the red flags in my life were the constant, like, love bombing after, like, something that didn't feel right. So, for example, if like you have a routine in your life and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you didn't come home for dinner, and then you were late for this, and then you were late for that, and you didn't answer your phone, and you said it was dead, and it's just like your spirit starts saying something's wrong, something's off. And it's like the second he picked up on like, okay, she feels something's off, it's like love bombing the shit out of you to distract you from paying attention to like what your spirit is telling you. So like, oop, let's go to Rodeo, let's go to Chanel, let's buy a bunch of shit, let me take you on a trip. I look back, when I filed for divorce, I had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of diamonds, like everything a girl could say she wanted, like 20 karat, ring, love bracelets, the good ones, like encrusted with diamonds, not the little cheap $6,000 ones, that you get in the window just because you're trying. Everything I had was because he was up to no good. And so you have to start evaluating, no matter where you go in this life and what you want, what do you want? And I didn't want a jewelry box full of baubles, but no respects in my life, in my marriage, in my relationship, community dick, humiliation. I didn't want that. So I took my kids, I packed up, and I left.
What I mean, what was there something that pushed you over the edge, or was it like just a simmering thing? It's like one day you just like, because that's a very big decision.
More. I love myself more. I'm literally creeping up to the age where my mom died. Like, see, we think we're so permanent. We don't focus on our mortality. That's how we're built. This deep well of hope that somehow we just get to stay and be forever. Not true. I didn't want to waste this one life I have with someone who didn't make me happy. And I would rather have less or get it myself and wake up in the morning peaceful and happy and excited. And see, that's the thing. Women or men think they want all these things. You can wake up in the mansion with the Rolls Royce and the diamonds. Misery is misery. Fuck Future. He's like, you want to cry in a Hyundai or Rolls Royce? I've cried in both. I was still crying. I was still broken. It's just a car.
Wow, that is very, very real. Wow. So let's rewind a little bit. So you you meet in Miami, you move to LA, you're like, and so you guys opened, like, how does one, because to go from kind of that to Bel Air, Beverly Hills, all this stuff, like, it obviously didn't happen overnight. Like, how did that happen?
No, it kind of did.
Really?
It kind of did. My mama used to tell me, because we go to church every 32 minutes, be all things to all people. And, these people keep bothering me. I ain't paying y'all till after Christmas.
You're
Sorry, these kids need gifts. I'm not paying y'all. But no, you got to be all things to all people. So even when I got to Bel Air and got to Beverly Hills and we opened this practice, like, when I tell you it was like so nigga rigged together, no one would ever think that, but it was like when you like literally are buying furniture off like Let Go, and you're buying like secondhand like seat arms and lasers, and I was the secretary, I was the maintenance staff. I'm like Googling like what products we need and how to sign up for like malpractice insurance. And thank God I'm highly intelligent and I'm a hard worker and I'm really focused and dedicated when I'm, committed to something. But it really went from like in 2-3 months, we had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not like we had like $2. We were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars updating like this office space. But then it's like the furniture is the least of your concern when you need like medical grade tile that's, $800 a square foot.
Wow. So like, you were like the office, like you were the, like he was actually doing he was doing the actual procedures and stuff, but you were like
I have a core memory of being heavily pregnant and after a surgery, literally draped in like hazmat gear, scrubbing blood off an OR floor because it was going to save us like a few $100s a day if we did the cleaning. But I'm like, okay, he's operated for 7 or 8 hours today. I've managed the office. I have more energy though than he does. And I was so pregnant and it's just like, sometimes it was so hard, but then one day it just started clicking and you don't even realize when you go from like scared about money to like, oh, that's nice. Oh, wait, we made $100,000 this month. Wait, we made $200,000 this month. Holy shit, we made $300,000 this month.
How much is plastic surgery?
How much money can we make this month?
Wait, how much is he charging? What? So he does obviously like boob jobs.
Hey, a boob job costs $10,000 and takes 35 minutes.
I'm trying to do the math to how many you can do in a month. It's a lot, definitely a lot.
If you can do 5 on a Monday, 5 on a Wednesday, 4 on a Friday, and 2 on a Saturday, so you still have your afternoon with your family. That's before you even start doing lipo and facelifts and Botox and injections and BBLs. Like that's just the quick, easy surgery.
And he was doing all those, or did you guys have like start hiring?
Solo practitioner.
Oh wow! Oh yeah. Okay, so that makes a lot. Now I see how it starts to add up. Yeah, So
it just started one day. It literally just you don't realize where that you cross that point of working so hard and so exhausted to like, wait, what the fuck? Like, wait, are we like rich? And then it's like, by the time you accept, like, wait, my life is completely changed. You then just get to this point where money becomes a game. Like, how much can I make? It just becomes a plaything. Oh shit. Oh fuck. We made $400,000 this month. Let me just pay for my sister's wedding. Holy shit. Let me take the whole family to Paris. You know what? Let's just pack up and leave the country for a month. Fuck it. 2 months.
Oh my god! Yeah, y'all are living a little bit different. Very, very different.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about working with someone, but you have to choose the right person. Because, like I said, we got to the top of Everest, and it's like, God damn it, I'm up here with the troll.
Well, why do you think that happens? Sometimes, where like if you think about, I mean, allegedly the Celtics coach, cheated allegedly on the beautiful, amazing Neil. I just don't know if black men cheat. I've heard rumors. I believe that black men don't cheat. I've heard rumors about it. I've never, 2 things I've never seen: a UFO or a black man cheat. So I've
seen both.
I've heard rumors, but why do you think? Is it just that people can't say? Because sometimes people cheat, and you'll see the person they cheated with. I mean, not that obviously beauty isn't everything, but you'll be like, wait, like, really? Like, because you'll see the person they're with, like the person they're cheating on.
Self-sabotage. Narcissism, insecurity. Nia Long is literally a goddess.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I just really feel like a man would be really hard pressed to find a woman with my intelligence, my beauty, my patience, my focus, also my moral compass, being raised how I was raised. You're really gonna there are unicorns running about the face of the earth. And I'm sorry, I love myself enough to say that I'm one of them. Like, he fucked up, and it comes down to insecurity, self-sabotage, and maybe he's a narcissist, but you don't just throw something like that away carelessly. In fact, most men that do spend the rest of their life chasing it or trying to get it back, and they don't.
Well, I feel like also people just don't think they're going to get caught, right? So it's also like not, some people are more reckless than others.
It's self-sabotage.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, I think, I mean, you respect a certain, like, I don't want to say names because I feel like if I say a name, you're gonna be like, oh, he actually does cheat, and I don't want to out anybody. But
Because I'm like, you know me, I just speak it.
yeah, there are certain powerful men who I feel like haven't at least publicly been caught up. So I mean,
I
that
know
does give
quite a
us a
few
little bit of
that
hope.
privately cheat, and
Yeah,
they
I don't know. I
just.
think,
I know a lot of men, quote unquote, in the industry in LA that very, very discreetly have trysts outside of their marriage or, long term relationships. Um, I think it's disgusting, but you're always going to find someone willing to,
yeah, I mean,
to
I
be
think also,
involved with that. But at
I
least they're
remember,
discreet.
yeah, I remember there's like, there were certain people I held up as like, oh, they on a certain pedestal. I mean, look, and look, I don't like infidelity, like, is not the, I mean, whatever. I'm not gonna say like cheating makes you
Fidelity's not what? I'm
I
gonna
don't
start
want to say.
asking the questions. What?
Well, no, I don't like. I'm not saying that it means you're like a terrible person or something. No, nobody's perfect. But I think that there's certain people who I thought, oh, like this person obviously doesn't. But then you hang around enough, and you're like, oh, it kind of is very common. Although I do think some people have, what's the word, like arrangements, where it's like an understanding. I just think like, let's say you're dating a basketball player. It's like, okay, like you think you're the last person in the world who
That's
like
a forced arrangement.
that's so yeah. I'm saying like.
Oh, we've
Like,
been together 2 years. We have a kid. I love you. I want to marry you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Well, if you want that, tell you what, I will marry you and I love you too, but I'm not willing to be faithful, loyal, or discreet. This is our arrangement. Take it or leave it. Like, if you give a starving man a bowl of like ramen noodles, he's gonna eat it.
yeah, but I just think there are certain people who they probably just have an arrangement where it's an agreed upon sort of thing where it's like, okay, like
I think women tolerate a lot of stuff because they feel like they have no choice, and they either eventually get sick of it, and some women don't give a fuck. Some women don't have self-respect themselves or don't give a fuck. There are a lot of predatory women, so let me not be one-sided. It's like, well, he's gonna do what he's gonna do, but you know what? This is the exchange. I get a certain life. My children get a certain life. We share our children publicly. We have this wonderful family, and I'm willing to tolerate all the stuff you put me through because I'd rather have a Bentley truck and my kids go to Good Shepherd and we do red carpets, but they're fully aware, but there's not a like, quote unquote arrangement. It's a tolerance.
Yeah, I guess. I think it's a spectrum. I think there's definitely some tolerance, some arrangement. Some people who I don't say they have no choice, but who have made their choice. But I guess what would you give like I mean, I guess not yourself, but like somebody who would be in your shoes dating now? Like, is it just find a guy with a lot of money, find a guy with a lot of money and character, find a guy who's ambitious? Like, what would you tell somebody who was like, some girl right now is at a one light town in Oklahoma, about to embark on a journey, to around the world. What would you tell her?
Take your time. Life is so short, but it's actually really long. Take your time. Ask questions, talk. Rings don't mean anything. Fall in love for the right reasons. And if he gives you reason to doubt him, fucking believe him. And quite honestly, spend more time focused on yourself and working on yourself than trying to change any man. Focus on loving yourself, understanding what you want and what you need. And if you're with someone and they don't make you happy, don't say yes. Don't want a ring. Girl, move on. Because life is short, but
I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like I'm in this age now where everyone's starting to kind of get in more serious relationships, like that kind of 28 to 32 range. So I feel like people, if you look left and you look right, it's kind of like, oh. So I feel like there's pressure almost, even me, but just I feel like women feel it even more. Also because like wanting to have kids and things. So I don't know. It's like I don't know. I think there's just pressure. I think
women do have biological clocks, because if a woman makes it to 32 with no children, like she only has so many years. Like you can skeet out a baby at 92 if you can stay alive that long. But a woman is beyond past, like her eggs have turned to dust and fossils.
Well, yeah. So I think it's hard to say like be patient because there is this pressure societally and also biologically and just like just internally. I'm sure sometimes to kind of find somebody and like
I don't know. I grabbed the hands of my clock and just broke them because I had a baby when I was a teenager. So my biological clock is irrelevant. I wasn't 32 yearning to have a baby. I had a bunch of them niggas already. Like it wasn't worried about.
You spent probably like 4 years of your life pregnant. Like if you like
more like 5.
Yeah, well, you love wine.
No, but I think it really comes down to take your time. Especially if you're a black woman. You talk about black men, don't you? Can we talk about how amazing black women are?
I love
most black women, and again, a generalization. Girl, you can have a baby at 44. You probably don't even need IVF. Just throw it back and, baby, you will be just fine. And so there's no rush at 30, 32. Like there's not this frailty typically around fertility. And if you want a baby, you can get a baby, you can adopt a baby, but it's paramount who you choose to become a parent with, either biologically or by adoption, surrogacy, whatever, the situation is.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess we didn't talk about this. How did you end up on, because I feel like around the time I met you, I feel like I just kept meeting people who were on reality shows, like not due to me seeking them out, just kind of bumping into them almost. And how did you end up on Second Wives Club?
I was just walking down the street, smoking a cigarette.
You and these cigarettes. I'm going to get you to stop one day. But,
no, it's just like, no. So I did know, like, so later I actually got the story for some producers. Like they kind of put the pieces together for me because I didn't know. It was like, so they were looking to cast women for a show for E! And they were looking for like mothers and wives and, kind of like a housewives show or whatever. And somebody was just like, there's a lady somewhere in Beverly Hills. She drives like a dark colored Rolls Royce. She has like a lot of kids. Like you can't miss her. She's like 6 feet tall. She's literally going to be like she's like a size 0. Yeah. Like literally I'd Vogue down like the middle of Rodeo in Louboutins with like a triple stroller, like drinking a matcha, like stopping to grab something before like I headed back home. And it's like, you can't miss her. She's there like every day. Find her. And I was just walking down the street one day, like smoking a cigarette, and someone's like, hey, do you have kids? I'm like, fuck are you? How do you fucking know me? Did my sister send you? And they're like, no, we're doing a casting and someone told us just to look for like a very tall black woman to drive a Rolls Royce. I'm like, yeah. And I'm just smoking my cigarette.
Like a maroon, like no one else had a maroon Rolls Royce. Like LA, you'll see white, you'll see black. That's really it. Just white and black Rolls Royces. Never this cherry.
It's Merlot. She's Merlot.
Okay. But either way, I was just like, I remember, I'll never forget just being picked up.
No, but that was it. It was just chance. So just working my ass off, living my own life. And if you want to be in the industry, I would say the number one thing any woman could really do outside of having like a great agent and getting good headshots and focusing on her career is be out. And I'm not talking about the club. Literally outside. Nobody's going to discover you in your house. You can be walking to a Starbucks and your life can change.
That's very true. Although I guess nowadays with like TikTok and Instagram, people can't. But I agree. Like being outside. I mean, even like we met at some random event.
You say that, but like really amazing people. Like it's crazy. So one day, I was walking down the street and Clint Eastwood almost hit me with his Mercedes, and I was like, "What the fuck, bro?" And he's so scared because I'm angry and aggressive especially when I'm in danger. He gets out and he's like, are you okay, miss? I'm like, holy shit, you're Clint Eastwood. He's like, yeah, what's your name? I end up sitting on a bench with Clint Eastwood, like on Christmas Eve. And he's just having the most random, bizarre, gentle, kind human conversation for about 10 minutes. The point is that doesn't happen on TikTok. I don't give a fuck how many fucking dances you do. Like real life really happens
Well, how
in
do
the
you
real
know
world.
well, I would say how do you know the dances, but I forget your daughter's like 20. Well, oh, your daughter's
He's
old enough
22,
to,
yeah.
yeah. Well, oh my goodness, old enough to know the dances. Well, that's and you also okay. How did you end up on as we like how did you end up on Iyanla?
Because my life was fucked up.
So does
I
you
was
just
trying to divorce my then husband. He was dragging me by the mud, through the mud by my hair extensions, and it was a very confusing time. And I don't have a mom to call, and I don't have family a lot of family to call except for my sisters, and like I don't know, but advice from like 30-year-old um women who live in the Midwest doesn't really apply to how do I divorce my multimillionaire, like over the top, psychotic, sex addicted, narcissistic ex. So, yeah, it was just like, I'll give it a shot when the show called. But she was problematic. But, I took a step back from television for a while, and I'm really, really thinking about, going back into it. But I think I'm just older and wiser now in a good way, where I'm just not just terrified of everything going on around me, as far as like everything's so new and so fresh. It's like your first day of undergrad. You don't know where the fuck your classes are. You don't know who's
yeah
going to be your friend. You're alone. You feel like everybody's looking at you and no one gives a fuck. And by a few weeks in undergrad, like you realize no one gives a fuck. Nobody's looking at anybody. No one cares or knows if you're lost. Just go to class. And that's
yeah?
what television is. No one's looking at your eyeliner.
Would you do reality, or what would you think about doing?
I don't know, like with reality it would have to come with certain terms and conditions, because what I will say about reality TV, it is remarkably invasive. And there's so often this conversation around reality TV. They're like, "Oh, it's not real, it's scripted." No, they figure out what's going on in your life. They're asking your friends, your families, your coworkers, your castmates, and they will pick at a scab until it bleeds. And your reactions so often are genuine because you feel very much like you're being put on the spot. And I would say about fame, you know, everyone seems to want it.
Right.
Everyone seems to want it. And I think I dipped my toe in the water enough to realize it is a monster that is not easily controlled. There is no feeling I've ever felt like just walking through the grove with my kids and people like grabbing me or running up on you, and you're just like, "Whoa, what the fuck do you want?" And they're like, "Oh my God, I love your show." And yes, I'm sure you acclimate to that, but I don't really think one can prepare for the loss of privacy and autonomy to just go to the grocery store or to say something to a friend, and it's just between you and a friend. It doesn't end up in a blog.
Yeah, well, what's dating like for you these days? I mean, first of all, dating with like 5 kids has to be unique. But you're not just anyone with 5 kids, but like what's dating like? I mean, you're
Dating is amazing because like I've never ever felt like, oh, dating with 5 kids was going to be like this challenge that I feel like so many other people ask me about. Like, oh, is it hard? Like, I have 5 children. It's like, is it dating for you? Like, is dating hard for you because you're not 6'8"?
maybe I don't know. It might be.
Exactly. I don't know. This has always been my reality. I've been a mom since I was 16. So that being said, I don't know what it feels like for you that you weren't born Brad Pitt. I'm so like, so should I ask you what it's like to not be like Brad Pitt?
That's fair. Yeah, I
Or
guess
you're
like,
not
what's
Idris
dating like?
Elba. How are you coping with not being Idris Elba?
Well, I guess I didn't mean to say that like, it would be a challenge. I guess I did imply it would be a challenge, but I don't. That doesn't sound like it's a challenge for you. But I just meant what's it like in general. I guess, but you don't have anything to compare it to, really.
No, I've been a mom my whole life. I've literally been a mom since I was a kid. But what I can say is, I don't think it's ever really deterred ever. I can't think of one guy that it deterred because I'm just, you know me, I'm very upfront. I'm very blunt. It's just like if I want to say you want to be like, oh my God, let's go back to my place and like maybe we can have drinks. And I'm just like, maybe you can give me some fucking money because literally not because I'm a gold digger or not because I'm a whore. It's like, don't ask me for shit, but I can't ask you for shit. And it's the same thing that honesty translates to everything. So it's like, hi, what's your name? What's your favorite color? I'm like, hi, I'm Veronica. I have 5 kids. I literally cannot stay awake past 9 p.m. and I have no tolerance for bullshit. What do you want? And, but it's a beauty behind it. It's not like a rudeness or a jadedness. It's like, so if we go out a few times and a guy likes me, he has known the whole time and he can do what he wants with that information because my children are absolutely the center of my existence. So it's not like, I'm not on some Black China custody schedule. Like my
Right.
kids are with me all the time. And, if a special guy is in my life, my children are going to know him and they have to like that person and they have to get along and it all has to work. And if it doesn't, I love them so much. I couldn't possibly make myself miss a guy over, his
Right. Well,
inability to be okay with my situation.
well, you said something earlier today that when we were talking, just not on here, but you were like, if you're not married, you're single.
Yeah.
That's very,
There's that
that's
quote, there's that
daunting.
quote, you can't let your boyfriend keep you from meeting your soulmate.
Well, I think nowadays people definitely don't let that stop them.
No, but
Um,
not
uh,
like not in a negative hoary
yeah, I know
way,
what
but
you
like,
mean. Yeah,
like I think until two people are really committed, and typically the commitment, the guys struggle with that. But like if you've evaluated a man, his character, his upbringing, his parental relationships, who he is, what he does, what he wants, and you feel like, man, he's rock solid and he's like shaky on you. I'm not dating you for 2 years for you to figure it out. Figure out these
yeah.
nuts.
Well, it's weird. I feel like we're just in this era where, first of all, I feel like we're in an era where, like, and maybe it's just me my age, but like I feel like like quote unquote like having hoes was cool for a while, and it feels like it's not cool anymore. Like it feels like it's very. Also, by the way, your eyebrows they look amazing. Um, you know,
The Botox is popping.
I guess so. But I think that I don't know. I feel like at least maybe it's just me in this age that I'm in, but people, it feels like vacations and matching pajamas and kids are the
Yes,
are
that's
like
that's a
are,
beauty to life. I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but like one of the saddest, weirdest, ill, never want to be in that situation. Like as far, I would never want my daughter in that situation because I've already fucked my life up so many times I
you
can't count.
haven't, yeah,
That's why I know
right.
better. It's like this whole situation with like Diddy, and it's just like, bro, you've got like all of these wonderful, beautiful children. You're still having children. You're not committed really to any of the mothers. Cassie was with you for half her life. Now you're with like I think one of the city girls, but not with her. But you're out photoed with another model. But you also post that Kim, God rest her soul, is the love of your life. Who, when she was alive, you didn't commit. You weren't loyal. You weren't faithful. You weren't what a woman usually stands on and needs. So like that's what you run from these days. It's not cool to have hoes anymore, but I feel like there are still a lot of men out here that want the ability to like be in like this fun ass dope relationship but have a baby on the way and two baby mamas that they want to be faithful to them and crying over the one that got away. Like this shit's gross. That's gross.
Well, there goes my revolt deal. If I ever, there's that's out the window now.
Just cut that part
Um,
out. It's
no,
fine.
no, I'll cut it. I'm like, I like to be I like to be unfiltered. I like it to be unfiltered. But Diddy, I still love you. But no, it's funny that you bring that up because I think we talked about this. I remember one time, like Russell Simmons was like dating this a friend of mine, like my roommate at the time, really. And like, he's probably like 58, she's probably like 26. And like, I'm not an age gap shamer, like one of those people, but it was like, I remember one time I saw, like around the time, like me and him got to know each other a little bit because, he was dating my friend. And I remember I saw him at Soho House one of these nights. And, the Soho House for anyone, it's like this private members club in LA that, people, like a suburban club, whatever club. Anyway, so I remember seeing him. This was the era when everyone was like, all the Instagram girls. This is pre OnlyFans, so this is when all the Instagram girls were kind of like doing skits, like those video skits. And I remember he was sitting at a table at a booth at Soho House with all these kind of 22-year-old, 23-year-old Instagram models. I remember thinking, like, this is kind of sad, right? Like, who wants to be? It's like that Drake line, like, no one wants to be 70 and alone. And like, I remember thinking, like, man, he's like 56, 58, still chasing sort of these 22-year-olds. Like, you should be at home with your family. But then I was like, wait a second. Why am I sitting here? Who am I to judge him? Like, if I'm 60 years, if I'm pushing 60.
But you know what? Common sense is the rule of law. It's sometimes it's not about judgment. Common sense is not common to all common men.
I think that.
Who the fuck wants to be 60? The fuck? Let me tell you something. The fuck I want to sit around with some 22-year-old niggas for? What can you do for me? You can't pay any bill. I might be able to find one credit card minimum that you can hold down. I don't want your premature ass dick. You don't even know how to use it yet. What can you do? Go down on me and just get me all spitty and throw my pH off? Like, there's nothing.
But I think
there's no reason I want to be around a bunch of children. At 60 years old, if I'm not sitting in my living room with my house exactly how the fuck I want it, waiting for my kids and grandkids to come visit me, talking about some Earl, bring me a glass of wine. You fucked up.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think
fucked up.
I think that when I was looking, I was like, my first initial reaction was, man, this is kind of sad. Like, this dude's pushing 60 and he's kind of chasing, still kind of out here trying to keep up with, chase these women. But then I was like, well, wait a second. Like if someone's like, if you gave most men the chance and you're like, hey, like, do you want to be 60 years old and be worth $500 million and have a bunch of 22-year-olds want to be around you and, be
guess
with you?
What? You die.
They would probably say yes.
You don't get to take none of that shit with you. You saw the queen died a few months ago. All they could do was put that little crown with them stolen diamonds on top. And when they lowered her ass in the grave, what they do with the crown? They went and put it back wherever the fuck it goes.
No, I think as I get a little bit older, I do agree that, like, I don't want to be the person who's like, I'd love to have his level of success, but I don't think I want to be the person who's 58 and like. So would you rather have the $500 million
and some barely legal Insta models who literally are just figuring out like how to get a wax without getting like ingrown hairs, or a woman who understands you deeply and to your core,
I mean, for sure,
loves you, tolerates you on good and bad days, and if you lost everything, if you died, she was gonna hold you the fuck down like Vanessa Bryant, or you want some bitch that's gonna empty your bank accounts and bounce.
Well, yeah, I think the former, obviously, but I don't know. I think, but
really,
it's
men, you say that, but then men go for the Insta models, and that's the shallowness of life, in particular in LA. It's just like, it's gonna be a bunch of old, rich, lonely, shriveled up dick motherfuckers with nobody to hold their hand when they die.
Well, that doesn't sound pleasant, but I mean, I don't know about Russell personally, but I think he'd probably already done, like, everything gets old, right? Like, so, I think family and stuff doesn't get old in the same way that like chasing a bunch of young women does. But like, maybe he'd already done the family thing and was like, okay, this is like, I've kind of.
That's like saying I already did the life thing.
Yeah,
I've been there, done that. I'm ready to move on to what's next. I'm open for an adventure. Like, no, I'm gonna stay here and hang out for a while and just see where else this life can take me. Like, even family evolves and changes. Like, being in a home with young children is different from being in a home with older children, or them coming home from college, or them bringing home their partners and their children and your grandchildren. Like, family is something too, like the human life that evolves and changes. And unfortunately, it's a lot of rich, empty motherfuckers out here robbing, stealing from themselves.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's interesting. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, actually on this podcast, and I think that she was talking about how she doesn't love like I love Future, I love Drake, but she was talking about like just kind of like the evolution of like, you know, if Drake's 36, Future's 38, like y'all still kind of rapping about buying women things and being, you know, like kind of still in the club and still, and like not to put a specific timeline on certain things, like that just is certain people's lives, but I do think that, you know, there's a reason that some like a certain level people kind of, you know, like Kendrick and J. Cole have like people resonate with them in a different. I mean, obviously Drake is gonna sell out, Future's gonna sell out crazy, and those are two of my favorite artists. But I think that, you know, like even like Jay-Z doing like the 444 album, and like you see him rapping about Blue and rapping about marriage and, you know, his ups and downs, and like there is a certain level of like doesn't, you know, there's some of the stuff get old.
Humans are trees, and what does a tree need to do to live a long, healthy life? It has to put down roots. Or you could be Drake and be damn near 40 buying a necklace, a ridiculous ass necklace with 42 diamonds. Like, if somebody comes and goes, "You are the one," and gives me that necklace, like, I'm going to take it. I'm going to be like, oh my, I'm going to pass out first, and I'm going to be thankful, and I'm going to like cherish it. But at the same time, I don't think the messaging behind it is like, how much suffering went into the thought process behind this?
Yeah, I mean,
how much did you suffer to gift yourself this 42 diamond? I think I could live without the suffering. Just be a regular ass bitch.
Well, I think that like I try to limit. You know, I mean, I'm a big Drake fan. We've, you know, he's
everybody's a Drake fan.
He's had, you know, his birthdays are legendary. We've had, you know, some great nights. But I think that I try to limit the Drake slander. But I do think that, yeah, there's like when she said I couldn't disagree so much. I do think that, like, you know, at some point, like throwing money at the strip club and doing certain things, and like especially, you know, also for Future, where it's like you want to see a level of evolution. But then I also think that, I don't know, like it's like I feel like you were saying earlier about like men feeling like, you know, it's like, okay, well, you want this, buy me, you know, I want diamonds, I want money. And so I do think that kind of men get wrapped up in like success and then get wrapped up in.
I feel like men don't have choices like women about who they choose, who they deal with. If you meet a woman at a strip club, and I'm not saying like that's cool. Like, I had some of the best nights of my life in King of Diamonds back in the day when Rick Ross was like going up, and, you know, China was still just a dancer. So it doesn't matter where you meet them, but the whole relationship is predicated off of, oh, I'm a ball because I'm getting satisfaction out of giving you things, and you thinking that I'm the shit, and you looking at me a certain way, but then I'm looking at you like, damn bitch, I gotta do everything for you, and I did all this. I don't owe you anything. You could give me $1 billion tomorrow. You know how much I owe you? If we're in a relationship, do you know how much I owe you?
500 million? Hopefully.
Nothing. I don't owe you nothing. See, that's the thing. People don't math in relationships. You cannot hold a woman to an account forever, like literally a sharecropper. Oh, well, yeah, you grew the harvest and you did this and you did that. You made the kids, you held down the house, but I bought you a whip and I put you in this house and I bought you some ice. So you owe me forever because I'm this. No, fuck you, nigga. I don't owe you nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's
especially if you gave him kids and love. And I don't care if it's over in 2-3 years. Nigga, it's even.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I do think as I get a little bit like,
there's not ROI on relationships.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like that, like as I get older, that night with Russell Simmons, I start to look at it more and more. Like I feel like my initial reaction, like I think I start to go back to my initial reaction, which was this is kind of sad and pathetic. Versus like, I think on the one hand it's a little bit sad and pathetic. On the other hand, it's like, but if you gave most guys the choice, it's like, oh, you want to be 60 and be surrounded by a bunch of hot young women, most guys would say yes. But I think as I get older, I'm like holding like grandkids and stuff.
That's the thing. Life is a bunch of moments. Yeah, most niggas that want to be happily married, but every once in a blue moon, yeah, I would love to go to dinner with a bunch of gorgeous young women and they fawn all over me and I'm the center of attention. Like you know, you still got it, daddy. You know, you got it. But at the end of the day, let me ask you this. Would you rather lay down in bed with the woman, get a blowjob while y'all watch like the season finale of House of Dragon, and cuddle and eat, you know, like charcuterie, or do you want to be on a beach with a bitch you've known for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think the former is. I mean, I don't know. I think the former. I think it's gonna be interesting to watch. Like, because I do think you're right. Like in this era where we just so. I mean, and you're right. I think I'm thinking of it as this era, but you're right. Like Destiny's Child had Bills, Bills, Bills in like the 90s, right? So it's not new. But I think as there is this sort of resurgence of whatever you want to call it, like city girls culture, tricking culture, what's gonna like like what like
But see, you
Drake
still
has
not hearing me. See, that's the problem with men.
All right, let's hear.
You're
Let's
not
hear.
hearing me. Women are always emotionally tricking on men. So the culture's not going anywhere because you're talking about finances. But when a woman falls in love with you, puts up with everything you got going on, your ups, your downs, your careers, your ambition, but you're not there yet, deals with your funky ass mammy, deals with like if you got a baby mama that is good, bad, ugly, whatever.
Right.
That is emotional tricking. But see, we don't give emotional capital the same weight we give to actual capital. I don't give a fuck about your social capital and your actual capital when you're over here bleeding my soul dry and you think I owe you something? Nigga, thanks for the car. But I'm leaving with the car. Matter of fact, I'm taking the kids too, and I might take half. Matter of fact, I am.
Well, I mean,
Don't
California.
call me. Don't call me. And if you keep fucking with me, I'm gonna fuck your brother.
Oh my goodness, that's evil. California is a place.
Don't come over here with that stupid shit.
California is a place where I think I mean, obviously you've had a certain experience, but I think getting half seems reasonable in California.
No, getting half is always reasonable.
Yeah,
no, the fuck I look like supporting a man's career forever. But you know what it feels like to push a baby out your coochie?
I can never.
No, bro. Exactly. So if you had to push a fucking limit out of your dick hole, think about it. No, just put it into terms you can understand. Push a limit out your cock hole. And on top of that,
5 times or 3, I guess 3 times.
Not just 5 times, but I'm talking about like, damn, like now your nipples and your balls are just going to drop and you're just going to get stretch marks in bizarre places like the back of your calf. And it's just like, wait, you can't stay perfect and hold me up emotionally, mentally. But let me tell you something. I bought you a Birkin. Be thankful. I bought you a car. Bitch, a car takes gas and can be wrecked. It is worthless. Okay? Life. When a man creates life with the woman, we just don't give the same weight in our world to what women are doing day in, day out for men. And so easily that's tossed aside and we just get the title baby mama. Guarantee you the baby mamas of most of these athletes and entertainers or successful guys, we would love to think it's just like she wants something. But what if she just really fell for him and it was just a gigantic, huge plus that he was very financially well off?
It's possible.
It's possible.
It is possible. Yeah, I mean, how do you let your experience not, because I feel like a lot of people get to a certain, after a certain level of experiences, negative experiences, they start to like hate all men or hate all black men. And I don't think you're at that. I mean, maybe you are and I'm just wrong, but maybe,
no, I slept with a few white men before. It was gross. That's when I was younger. When I wasn't dating anybody. Well, I just need a black man in my life. It's just like garlic salt and garlic powder and onion powder on any food. Like you just have to have it.
Okay, that's good. But so you haven't let your experiences,
one trash nigga ruin my whole life and keep me from meeting the man that's gonna bust me down for the rest of forever.
Well, that's wise, but I do think that like you meet people who like, I think you meet people like, let's say you're 30, like you've been dating for 10, 15 years, you've had your share of heartbreak, you've had the guy that you thought was going to be the one, and if he was cheating, and like it begins to kind of be a thing where it adds up, and you just like hate. You're like, I'm like, not, you obviously don't start dating women, but I've met people who it feels like they're just exhausted, right? They don't want to do it. Like they're just tired of men. But I feel like you haven't let that. Take a nap. You haven't let that. Also, I found this line. Okay, so this is the line I was thinking about where it is one Drake song where he says, I don't have no time to be no Romeo. All the love I need is at the rodeo. All the love basically all the love I need is at the strip club. All the girls I know are there with Ian Though. Who knows where I end up when that shit gets old? Maybe it never gets old and that's just how it goes. And I do wonder, like, as these people start to age, like, when does that stuff get old? Like, when does the tricking and the, like...
I don't know, because that's not my life. I'm not I'm not, Drake in particular. One, I'm a huge fan, but
Of course, who isn't? Who is? Well, some people aren't, but yeah.
exactly. But like, no one can walk in his shoes. Nobody knows what it's like to have his career, his fame, his money, his access, his power. But also, I think the devil's in the details, his heartbreak, his stories, the women he's met and the women he's loved, or the women that he knew he didn't give a shit about, but he just couldn't stop messing with them. So I think it's important to give everybody space to, to be their self, because I certainly want to live my life authentically, and I don't want to be judged. So whatever he does with his life is definitely his business. I'm just saying, for me, like, no, like, even at my age, it's so unappealing to go to the club. Like,
Yeah.
when I lived in Miami and I was 23, all I wanted, I partied and I'm talking about, bitches don't party like we used to party. Like, we used to go home, the sun was up. It was 11 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
when
I
the
can't.
like, and you've been in that
Past my
motherfucker since
bedtime.
like, yeah, midnight. You don't, you're just dancing and hanging out, and so much is going on. Like, I'm talking about, Miami really had just this moment, and you left club space and you walked outside and the sun was burning your eyes, and you're like, what the fuck? It's 10:47 in the morning.
Yeah, that's
And
insane.
you've like, and you do this every fucking weekend. And no, you know what I love to do? I love to take a long hot bath with the person I'm in love with, and to talk about how we think and how we feel, but like about deep emotional issues. So not like how you're making me feel, but like what I think about, like, something that's going on, like, and to tell you, like, how I'm made, and to see that you understand, and then for me to show you I understand how you are and what you need to make slow, beautiful love, and then to still be able to fuss at you like you said you were gonna rinse the tub out.
Oh, that is. I mean, that's. I
No,
feel like, yeah,
that's so much
that's.
doper than going to like Mansion or the Fountain Blue or, One Oak, and some bitch
I
standing on
haven't
my
heard One
thousand
Oak in a
dollar
while.
heels spilling drinks on me.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, I wasn't talking about him specifically, but I just do think that, like, as I like, if it, like, even me, like, I feel like, obviously, like I start to, like, as I get into like early 30s, it feels like a lot of things have gotten old. It feels like a lot of things, like, I remember, it seemed like, if you wanted to flex, if and you're like, let's say you're 24, 25, you wanted to flex, you might post you're at the club, you got a bunch of ladies at your table, and now that stuff just looks very cringe. Like, it looks very like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it
It
looks
gives
it looks
cringe.
it looks childish. It looks young. It looks like it looks insecure. Like, what are you trying to prove? And what is kind of feels,
Now Flex is being in like West Africa,
or even just like
like
matching
for New
pajamas.
Year's,
Yeah, or just like
and
having like being on bait, like being with one person and like giving them experiences and sharing experiences like that. And like, look, to be fair, obviously, like, especially with Instagram, like, you don't know what's behind the scenes. Like, someone could be posting their girl all the time and be in somebody's DMs, but it
all the
does.
time.
I know, but
Look,
like,
let me
it
tell
does
you, if you can
feel.
see my DMs, that's a whole nother podcast. My DMs are the messiest. They are messier than my
Wait,
laundry
but
room.
you changed, because you changed your, you
That's
had
like what?
you had your ex's last name,
Hmm.
and then you had you changed it, and so even your new Instagram, you still have, or you still get crazy
No, I
DMs, or this
quit
is
my old Instagram, like my verified big Instagram with all the followers and blue check mark. And no, that DM, no, that was hell. I would get at least 10 dick pics a day, like just from people in Bangladesh, plus
oh
like
wow.
athletes and entertainers, huge name, like huge,
Hey, they
like
sent
just
dick
off
pics,
the,
really? That just seems so, like, you get blackmailed. Like, why would you do that? Yeah.
nobody can fucking blackmail some random kid from Qatar
Oh, no,
sending
I
you.
meant the athletes. I meant the athletes, or
No, no, no.
rather.
They would have more sense. They would just slide in there and
Okay.
you just click on their page like, okay, has a newborn, just proposed, talking about, hey, I'm in LA. You're so, you would just
Well,
ignore that.
well, I mean, to be fair, they were in LA, and you are beautiful. So, I mean, they're not lying.
I'm not that pretty.
Stop it, stop it. I mean, you've been in, a lot
No,
of
I'm pretty. I'm very pretty. But throw your family away pretty? No. Nobody's that pretty.
well, maybe, yeah, I get. I mean, I feel you. Well, okay, what advice would you have for somebody date, like, as we wrap up, somebody dating in this. I mean, I think you're right. I think that as I talk to you, I agree that like I probably give the city girls too much credit, and there's always been a sense like like you said, you were in Miami. There's always been like tricking. The city girls did not invent tricking, right? Or did not invent spending money, to whatever. But I do think that you see what the Kevin Samuels like, even like it's like I think that there's a sense of jadedness where it's like do I really have to, just like tying romance to funds so much can kind of take away. I don't know. I think it's like
let's not tie romance to my vagina.
All right. Well,
I like your vote on any woman's vagina when it comes to romance, but if you bring up euros, dollars, yen, Deutschmark, I don't give a fuck what currency you use. All of a sudden, it's like we've lost.
Okay, how do you separate that from the perception of being a gold digger?
What are you talking about?
Like the idea that
you ever watch a nature show?
Yeah, I have in the past.
So you turn on nature sometimes randomly. You take an edible. You ever seen like a mama lion, a lioness, walk past that nigga and go find this scraggly ass, broke down, mangy, don't have a tail, missing a ball, missing his teeth, ass lion that's laying in the bushes hiding from niggas and go, you the one? Well, no, that's the thing. No. Humans have the common sense and the intelligence to override nature. But you ain't never seen a mama squirrel go pick a partner. Like in nature, these motherfuckers fight to the death. Sometimes.
That's true. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
To literally be able to procreate. But I'm supposed to fuck with Ernest, who is about to get fired from the postal service because he won't stop drinking on the job.
Well, the funny thing is, this is basically
I'm a gold digger if I want a man that can treat me how I want to be treated. And I'm sorry, we need money. Because Earl, I don't want to live under the 405, underpass.
Oh well, okay. I thought you said you meant like below. Okay, yeah. I was thinking of the 10, but I think that's interesting. But I do think that's basically what Kevin Samuels was saying, right? He was saying like, he was saying the reverse, right? Like, Ernest, not whoever doesn't want to be with, Sean, whatever, Chantel, who had, I don't want to use that name. Whoever who has, 8 kids by 4 men and works the cost. I think that's what you're saying is the inverse.
Kevin Samuels, God rest his soul again.
But he was saying the same thing, but just for men.
Was approaching it, because that irritates me, because he was approaching the situation like your aesthetic value directly equates to capital. And if you are not extraordinarily gorgeous and or completely independent of any outside source of help ever, then you don't have a value to a man. And Kevin, that's why that motherfucker's dead. Because when you evil, the devil might call your name first.
Oh, Lord.
Okay?
Oh, man.
So what I'm saying is, every woman, I don't give a fuck if you got 2 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids. And I'm not just saying this because I have 5 kids. I don't give a fuck what you look like, where you work. Why can't you find somebody that loves you, that treasures you, values you, contributes to your fucking life? See, the thing is, what I look like aesthetically is not my only capital. And Kevin couldn't stop thinking that way. My face and my pussy is not my only capital. I will run circles around you, motherfucker, with my mind. And Kevin Samuels couldn't have licked my dirty drawers I threw out in the trash can, okay? While he had all that advice.
I feel that, but I do think that the reverse of what like basically what you're saying is that, like, I guess what Kevin Samuels would say is that, basically like in the same way that the city girls might say, broke niggas don't deserve no pussy, Kevin Samuels would be like, ugly, like basically undesirable women shouldn't have expectations to be treated the way that someone like you might be treated.
False. I've been dogged out by a nigga.
Well, I feel you.
No, I've been dogged the fuck out. I've been cheated on. I've been treated like shit. I've been told I ain't shit. I've been calling and calling and calling. Nigga disappeared for days, crying, pregnant, cheated on while I'm pregnant. Mistress come visit me in the hospital.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's the thing. That doesn't have anything to do with what you look like. And a woman who doesn't look like Halle Berry, it doesn't mean that she does not have the propensity for an amazing person in her life or a value that someone that maybe others would agree is more attractive. Because let me tell you something. What does your soul look like? Because I know a bitch right now. She's so fucking fine. That bitch is crazy. If you're around her for 2 days, you literally go from this is the prettiest bitch I ever met to this bitch is a monster. Fuck her and the horse she rode in on. And Kevin Samuels, just what he did was convert how women look and what they have to offer on the surface to if they deserve love. And that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard of. Because I don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindi. All every religion preaches is everyone deserves love, and we were created in love. So fuck him, and that's why he's probably in hell right now, but doing his podcast.
But would you say that I guess men who aren't financially well off also deserve love?
Of course, but I don't want them.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, that's a good note. Wait, where can people find you?
Like nowhere. I don't.
That's true. I forgot. Yeah, you left behind.
I have an agent. If I want to be found, he will make sure I'm found. And my Instagram is for my friends and my real family. And you follow me on my private IG, but no, I don't need all that in my life.
Yeah, you left behind. Yeah, I was surprised when you really, because I remember you kept you wanted to get your last name back, and you left behind because most people do the most for that blue check, and you walked away from it. So I thought that was very unique for sure.
You give a fuck about none of that.
Well, all right. Well, it was a pleasure. It's always great talking to you. One of the most intriguing. I feel like you expanded my mind, even just now, just in general.
Tomorrow you're gonna forget all of this.
That's why I'm recording it. Well, thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure.